Welcome back. The Fiji Rugby Union have been warned by the Immigration Department for illegally employing Frank Boiver, who didn't have coaching papers. Immigration also gave the same warning to Boiver, who is no longer permitted to coach any more teams in the country.
The Immigration Department are clamping down on those working without proper permits in the sporting sector. Fiji Rugby's recent case, a catalyst for the venture.
We appreciate the fact that they've taken that step because they can come back to us and say, no, he's got a valid permit to do this. But from outside, like we mentioned, he doesn't have a valid permit.
Former FRU Academy manager Frank Boiver was recently dumped by Rugby House for working outside his permit.
He's got a valid permit, but he needs to confine himself within or involve himself with the confinements of that permit, rather than doing something else out of the boundaries of that particular permit.
The immigration confirming Boiver is not permitted to coach any team either, saying the Frenchman's recent involvement in the Sakuna Bowl was not lawful.
The current permit is for him to work for that particular company, Tackle Smart. And like I said, it's not specified. He can do whatever coaching for any team in Fiji.
Boiver was served a warning, and so too Fiji Rugby Union for employing him.
The one we've received before his termination complying with the immigration laws. We have yet to see further documentation from Mr. Boiver on getting his proper work permit.
FRU was advised. FRU was also issued a letter stating for them not to involve Frank Boiver because since he doesn't have a permit.
If Boiver wants to coach, he will have to acquire another permit, one which the immigration confirms he doesn't have.
If he's going to go back to FRU, then that should involve getting another permit.
William Tambuya, Fiji One News.
With the festive hype going around, the FRU is keeping a close eye on both men's and women's rugby players. Rugby House are keen to find out which players are willing to sacrifice their time and manage it well.
Rugby players should not think what they achieved in 2013 will guarantee them a place for the new year 2014. FRU's high performance unit trainer Nathanieli Wanimboka says that the rugby calendar will be very challenging next year, and this is the opportune time for players to work on their fitness if they want to be selected.
Everyone in those teams have to work hard. There is no room for complacency and to think that performances in 2013 was enough. 2014 will be even more tougher. When you look at the Fiji Warriors playing in the Pacific Rugby Cup for the next year, competition will be tough. And also just to get into the team will be hard. And all players are expected to do their work off the field.
He adds local players tend to think that fitness is all about going to the gym and getting fit. With all the feasting going on, the Wanimboka stresses that fitness also deals with a lot of nutrition.
Managing their food intake, not eating all the junk foods that's out there and expect to get good results from training. They will need to put the right fuel into their bodies. They need to spend the required hours in sleep, as that is a very important part of recovery. But also just being around good people, having good friends and setting a target for 2014.
Selina Navoso for Fiji One News.
The proposed exhibition match between Super Rugby champions the Chiefs and European Cup champions Toulon will not take place this season. The Chiefs released their pre-season schedule, which sees them face the Reds and the Blues, but not Toulon after both teams failed to get clearance from their national bodies. 2013 will forever be remembered by the Chiefs as another memorable one.
At the season launch, the reinforced Highlanders had high hopes.
I've got one thing on their mind, and that's to win a title.
Sadly, those ridiculously early training starts didn't help. They quickly proved to be worse than ever, and 7 current or former All Blacks were gone by the end of the year. After knocking over the Hurricanes
Here's an opportunity.
and the Crusaders in the first 2 rounds, people were jumping on JK's Blues bandwagon. It turned out to be a roller coaster ride, though. Captain Ali Williams decided he'd had enough, and they lost their last 6 games.
And it's 23-16.
There was pressure on the Crusaders. The All Black laden 7-time champions hadn't won the crown since 2008, and losing in Perth didn't help their cause at all.
Oh, what a start!
That ensured they'd be playing catch-up football.
Over they go. Franks has got hands on the ball.
Once again, the Hurricanes proved a muddling mid-table outfit, slumping to 11th place, simply unacceptable given their backline threats. But at the same time, not unexpected. Maybe it was the serene Ruakura training base, but nothing seemed to bother the Chiefs, who were once again grinding out tight games, accounting for their Kiwi opposition.
Is under the bar.
Although often unconvincing against Australian franchises.
Cooper cuts them apart.
They were always a front-runner, and even their only blowout loss of the season to the Crusaders didn't slow their momentum.
Chiefs mistakes.
The sides met again in the semi-finals, and in a repeat of 2012, the Chiefs just prevailed. They were expecting to meet the leading South African side, the Bulls, in the final. But they were upset by the Brumbies, who were playing Springbok-style rugby under coach Jake White. Given the Chiefs' struggles with Australian sides, it was no real surprise to see them tested in the final, despite the Aussies' travel fatigue.
And he does so.
They love a contest, though. Trailing by 10 points going into the final quarter, they dug deep, and with Robbie Robinson proving a super sub, they wore down the Brumbies to win 27-22. And made it 2 from 2. Still not enough to win Team Coach or Player of the Year awards. Maybe a three-peat might change that.
Exiled Wallaby James O'Connor looks set to join European champions Toulon next season, putting his 2015 Rugby World Cup in doubt. And after a very successful outing at the Rugby League World Cup in England, the Fiji National Rugby League has plans to develop the age group level come 2014. Administrator and manager to the World Cup, Tommy Finau, says not only will they be concentrating in Vitilevu, they will also look north and develop the under-15 to the under-19 grades.
We will be setting up 2 zones in the north, in Lambasa and also in Rikit. Discussions are still ongoing about the number of teams that we need to have and the grades that we need to play in the north. Interest has been very strong, and it continues to grow.
Finau adds that interest has also grown from Tailevu and Rewa, and they will try to fill them in for next year's competition.
We are still quite content and excited about the growth that Rugby League is going through, and we are looking forward to a successful season again in 2014.
With only 7 days left to the year, it's hard to tell who will walk away winners at the Fiji Sports Awards in February. Our Sevens Rugby and Rugby League are strong contenders.
With the nominations open for the Sports Awards, picking a winner isn't going to be easy.
This year it's wide open. We've had some international events. We've had international athletes going over to Russia and to the Ukraine. We've had our Sevens players going to Moscow, of course, and then just recently the Rugby League players.
2013 has been a year of many achievements, unlike the year before where our Paralympic hero, Ilyas Andilana, was a clear favourite.
It could be anybody, because I think last year there was total realisation there was only one person could be nominated, especially a Sportsman of the Year, after winning his gold in the Olympics.
Topping our achievements, the Fiji Sevens team's recent 44-0 thrashing of New Zealand at the Dubai Sevens, alongside Vodafone Fiji Mbate's semi-final repeat performance at the Rugby League World Cup.
There were some great people came out of basketball in the tournament. So the women did very well in New Zealand recently, and so it could be anybody this year.
When the nominations close, a committee will sit together to decide who wins the coveted awards.
The guest speaker hasn't been confirmed as yet, but I have a fair idea who it's going to be, and
You care to tell us now?
I can't tell you at the moment.
Just as we can't tell who'll walk away winners on the night of 28th February. William Tambuya, Fiji One News.
Mathieu Koretamana remains Athletics Fiji's secretary and also national coach. He's confirmed to Fiji One News that he only resigned from the newly formed executive committee, which voted Albert Miller out as president last week Wednesday. In a copy of his letter to the interim committee, he states, and quote, "I will remain with my elected position as the Secretary of Athletics Fiji Executive Committee and not the Secretary of the Interim Executive Committee until the current dispute and situation is settled." Koretamana is a volunteer with the High Performance Commission at Fasanok. A special general meeting is being sorted for approval from affiliated clubs in order to sort out the inner differences of the federation. Finally, a Kiwi mum is taking a well-deserved rest after going without rest for 3 days to break a world record. 47-year-old Kim Allen walked and ran around Auckland Domain, copping up 500 kilometres.
Patching up the blisters after one very long run.
Sore throat, sort of went to move and it's like, ow, and everything hurt.
While most of the country is enjoying some Christmas R&R, Kim's been on her feet, running and walking for 86 hours. Her ordeal began in Auckland's Domain on Thursday morning, all in aid of the New Zealand Spinal Trust. She could stop for toilet breaks. Food was a smoothie on the go, or tiny bits of toast with avocado.
She goes through good patches and bad patches. At night particularly it's really tough. During the day then it picks up.
Early hours of Saturday morning, but I think it must have been between 3 and 5. I was really struggling. You're tired, you get small hallucinations.
It would have been so easy to pull out, but the mum of 4 kept calm and carried on, completing 332 laps of a track in the Domain. That's 500 kilometres, the equivalent of travelling from Auckland to Gisborne.
I just don't know how she's done it, and I don't think any of us know how she's done it.
It's the 48-year-old's second attempt after collapsing from exhaustion in her first attempt last year. That just made her even more determined.
I think it's just a matter of setting your mind to something and just persevering.
For now, though, her only challenge is finding someone to massage her feet.
We'll have to agree, Vili, that's quite an achievement. But that wraps up, that wraps up sports for tonight, and I'll hand it back to you, Vili.
Thanks, Edroy. You have a Merry Christmas, you and your family.
Likewise.
Thanks. Stay with us. We have world news after the break.